Welcome, everyone. Baseball is on the air. Major League Baseball on Fox, and we all welcome you to Wrigley Field. I guess we can still call it historic Wrigley Field, where they've been playing baseball since 1914. The Chicago Cubs are on the field, and we are getting set for what is Game 3 of this 4-game series. Yesterday, a double dip. 2 for the price of 1 here at Wrigley, and the Dodgers won them both. And as we look at this Los Angeles Dodger lineup, it starts with Tom Goodwin in center field. Mark Gressolanic bats second at second. Sean Green is hitting third in right field. Eric Karras cleans up at first base. Then Todd Hundley bats fifth. He's the catcher. Adrian Beltre is at third base batting sixth. Hitting seventh. Bruce Avon just added to this roster. He's in left field. Alex Cora is the shortstop batting eighth. And Matt Hergis will make his fourth Major League start. The right-hander, who is a 30-year-old rookie, has a record of 8-3, and he's on the mound today for the Dodgers. For the Cubs, they started off with Eric Young at second base, Mark Grace batting second at first, Sammy Sosa hitting third in right field. Then it's Rondell White in left, Damon Buford in center field. Willie Green is over at third. Hitting seventh is the shortstop Ricky Gutierrez. Jeff Reed is catching, batting eighth, and pitching and batting ninth. It's the right-hander Kevin Tapani who checks into this game with a record of 8-10. We are setting this as if it were 1939, as Keith and Steve have gone through. And if this were 1939, the Chicago Cubs would be playing and coming off a pennant year in 1938. And of course, the Dodgers, which were then the Brooklyn Dodgers, had made an instrumental decision in the what is now history of their franchise, and that is when Larry McPhail tabbed their shortstop, Leo DeRocher, to take over as the player manager. Here's a swing and a foul out of play off to the left, and we're underway on a Saturday afternoon at Wrigley Field. Tom Goodwin, reacquired by the Dodgers, batting .266, 5 home runs, 52 RBIs, tied for second in the league with 43 RBIs. He hits one down the left field line, slicing into the corner, and that ball is foul. Just foul. Played by Rondell White. The count 0-2 on Tom Goodwin. Again, the top three in this Dodger lineup, Goodwin, Gressolanic, and Green. Talk about player managers. At this time in 1939, both the Dodgers and Cubs had player managers. Gabby Hartnett, the catcher, was the player manager for the Cubs, and Leo DeRocher, as I mentioned, the player manager for the Dodgers. Here comes an 0-2 pitch from Kevin Tapani on its way, and Goodwin a comebacker. Back to Tapani, little flip to first, and that's how we start here at Wrigley Field. Well, we hope the rain stays away here today. Wind blowing out of the southeast, 5 miles per hour. So as the wind blows toward the left field corner, we give you an idea at the bottom of your screen exactly what the capabilities were of television coverage at this time. We play this first half inning as if it were 1939. Here's Gressolanic. First pitch is a high strike from the right-hander, Kevin Tapani. Gressolanic batting in the number 2 spot, hitting .285 homers, 36 RBIs. He has stolen 10 bases, been caught 1 time. The 0-1 pitch is low and away, a ball and a strike. This, by the way, the year that, ironically enough, Red Barber began with the Dodgers and Mel Allen began with the Yankees. 1 ball, 1 strike, and a swing and a foul straight back, and the count 1-2. So Kevin Tapani has done himself a favor and gotten ahead of the first 2 hitters. Goodwin a comebacker back to Tapani, and now a 1-2 delivery. About to be delivered to Mark Gressolanic with Sean Green waiting to hit next. Here it is on 1-2, and it's popped into right field. Sammy Sosa hardly has to move. In and to his left. He makes the catch. 2 out. We apologize as we've lost our feed from Wrigley Field. The 1939 standby slide that goes onto your television screen at home. Engineers working feverishly trying to restore the picture. I have a feeling it'll come back before the first pitch to Green. Amazingly enough, it is back, and it's a strike over the inside corner. Sean Green hitting .274, 23 home runs, 87 runs batted in his first year with the Dodgers. The 0-1 pitch is in the dirt from Tapani. 1 ball, 1 strike. Green last year with Toronto hit .309 with 42 home runs. So while he stands in with 23 home runs, he has at this point come up a little short of expectations for him in his first year in Los Angeles. Here comes a 1-1 pitch from Tapani, and it's fouled out of play off to the left, and the count 1-2. So Tapani, who has the reputation of being a right-hander who will come right after every hitter, detests walks more than most, has been out in front of all 3 hitters here in the first inning. He's 1-2 on Green, and he deals up and away 2 balls, 2 strikes. If this half inning continues, Eric Karras is batting behind Green as Gary Sheffield has picked this 5-game stretch to serve his suspension. Little pop-up on the left side of the infield. Willie Green is there, takes care of Sean Green, and that will do it for the first half inning in 1939 here at Wrigley Field. A half inning with the Cubs coming to bat, no score in Chicago. Here at Wrigley Field, if you can notice, a small improvement with the black and white coverage from Wrigley Field. 3 cameras. There's one at high home. There's one on the first base side and down the third baseline. There will be no replays, no graphics, and as you can tell, the audio still poor. No effects, as we call them, where you can hear the crack of the bat or the crowd noise over the microphone that I'm speaking into. And as we go to the bottom of the first inning, we are now set in the year 1944. Eric Young, Mark Grace, Sammy Sosa, the bottom of the first inning for Chicago. And the first pitch low and away from the 30-year-old rookie, Matt Hergis. Tim McCarver will join me shortly. He's in the back of the booth working on an Andrews Sisters routine that we've worked out for you to show you a little later. That's him cackling in the background. A pitch on the outside corner, 1 ball, 1 strike. He'll be playing the role of Laverne. 1 ball, 1 strike. And the next from Matt Hergis. Down and away, 2-1. 1944 as opposed to 1939 when the first Major League Baseball game was televised. A college game had been televised earlier in the year as Young takes it low, and the count 3 balls and a strike now from Matt Hergis. The college game between Columbia and Princeton. And the first televised Major League Baseball game was between Brooklyn and Cincinnati. With Red Barber at the microphone. 3 balls and a strike, and a delivery hits the outside corner. 3-2 now on Eric Young, who's hitting .238 since the All-Star break. He'll be followed by Grace and then Sosa. Young waits for a 3-2 delivery from Hergis. Here it comes, and a chopper up the middle. To his left, Cora. Gloves it, throws it off balance. Good play, 1 out. Alex Cora to his left takes a hit away from the speedy Eric Young, and that's the way the bottom of the first inning begins. When we were talking to you in the supposed year of 1939, in that August 26th game, just literally days before the world would change forever with the invasion of Poland by the Germans. Now we're in 1944, and obviously wartime. Here comes the first pitch to Grace, and it's low and away for ball 1. Baseball would experience a tremendous surge in popularity after the war. And you think back to some of the years missed by some of the game's greats, like the guys talked about during the pregame show, Ted Williams, among others. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out, nobody on. Grace took a strike over the inside corner. Now the 1-1 pitch from Matt Hergis on the way, and it's on the outside corner. Grace checked his swing, but it's a called strike, and the count 1-2. The home plate umpire for us today is Charlie Williams with Mark Wegner at first, Jim Reynolds at second base, and Jim Wolf over at third. A ball and 2 strikes on Grace, 1 out, nobody on, and the pitch from Hergis is just inside. Held there by Chicagoan Todd Hundley, playing for the Dodgers. 2 balls, 2 strikes. The 36-year-old Mark Grace, who is signed only through this year, waits with Sosa on deck. The 2-2, chopped foul off toward the Dodger dugout. Still 2-2. Talk about movies during 1944. Meet Me in St. Louis, Gaslight. swinging on a star. Don't fence me in, the music of the time. 2 balls, 2 strikes with 1 away, and the pitch from Hergis is grounded to second. Gresalonic there on 3 hops, picks it up, throws him out, 2 gone. And as we told you moments ago, you'll see at the bottom of your picture, this turn back the clock game, the black and white coverage has sharpened a bit from when we showed you the top of the first inning in 1939. 3 cameras, all located on the mezzanine level, and now we've added one down the first baseline as opposed to in the first inning. And there will be no graphics, there will be no replays, but we will introduce those features to you as this game wears on. 2 out, nobody on. Sammy Sosa, the local favorite, takes a strike over the heart of the plate from Matt Hergis. Sosa, number 1 in the major leagues with his 43 home runs. From July 8th on, in 43 games, he's hitting .337, 22 home runs, and 48 RBIs. He waits for an 0-1 delivery from Hergis, and he takes a breaking ball low and away, a ball and a strike. Skies are threatening here in Chicago. There is a forecast for showers throughout the day, and Todd Hundley, the Dodger catcher, will trot out and talk to Hergis as they try to figure out a way to retire Sammy Sosa and the Cubs in order here in the first inning. During this year, 1944, baseball's first commissioner, Judge Kennesaw Mountain Landis, passed away November 25th. Joe DiMaggio discharged from the Army Air Corps September 14th of 1944. And here in the bottom of the first inning with 2 out and nobody on, Sosa waits for a 1-1 pitch from Hergis. Here it is, and a swing and a miss as he tied him up inside, in on the hands, the count 1-2. The Dodgers went in order in their half of the first inning. Goodwin, Gresalonic, and Green. The Cubs are threatening to do the same. Sosa, 117 runs batted in as the Cubs play their 128th game of the season. Here's a 1-2 to Sosa, and it's in the dirt. 2 balls, 2 strikes. This park originally called Weigman Park, then in 1920 became Cubs Park, and in 1926 became Wrigley Field. The bleachers were built back in 1937, the same time the ivy went up. And then roll the clock forward, fast forward, 1988, when they installed lights. Here's the 2-2, ground ball too short. Picked up by Cora. His long throw across is perfect. And the Cubs go in order in their half of the first inning. When we come back, it'll be 1953. It'll be the second inning with no score. Our first insert on the easel, this is Eric Karras leading it off in the second inning with no score, and he pops it up into shallow center field. Here comes Damon Buford, and he missed it. We'll see if we have our first hit or our first error waiting on it. Likely will be an error, and it is. Error on Buford, his 3rd of the year. And so the Dodgers have the first base runner. This is how the graphics were done on that easel back then. That means that Todd Hundley must be walking to the plate. An error to start the inning, and Todd Hundley stands in. As I mentioned, grew up in Chicago. His father, one of the Cub heroes, Randy Hundley. And Todd, who last year hit .207, still 24 home runs, 55 RBIs, trying to make his way back from that right elbow surgery, has had a rebirth of sorts at the plate, hitting .312 now with 22 home runs, 56 RBIs. And lately, he's even been better behind the plate at throwing out potential base stealers. Hundley with 1 on and nobody out. First pitch a ball, and now the next is low and away. 2 balls, no strikes. From Here to Eternity was the movie of the time. Gentlemen prefer blondes as well, and here comes the 2-0 pitch from Tapani to Hundley, and a swing and a foul straight back. Tim McCarver will join me in the bottom of this inning. Standing by, it's killing him that he can't talk for the first inning and a half here at Wrigley. but he is waiting patiently. When the analyst became a staple on television coverage. The year again is 1953. 1 on with nobody out. 2 balls and a strike on Todd Hundley. Tapani is set, and the pitch grounded back to the second baseman. Young, a flip to the shortstop, covering it on to first. A double play. Eric Young straight out of the glove to Ricky Gutierrez. 4-6-3 on the double play. And we see during the squeeze back the sort of innovations that had come to pass by this time, and well, we can't show you a replay of that fantastic play. Tinker, Evers, and Chance would have been jealous. 2 out, nobody on. Good work up the middle by the Cubs defense, and there's a strike as it's poured over the inside corner to Adrian Beltre, who has been red hot. Tapani trying to pitch around a leadoff error. There's another hit into right center field off the bat of Adrian Beltre, and he, as we mentioned, had a fantastic day here yesterday during the doubleheader. Was 4 for 4 with 4 RBIs, including what was a game-winning home run in Game 1, and then 1 for 3 with an RBI in Game 2 as the Dodgers won both. Bruce Saban stands in. The hand comes in to fix the graphic. Which did happen back in 1953. 1 on, 2 out. The first pitch is a strike into Bruce Saban. His first at bat with the Dodgers. Saban picked up in early August from Pittsburgh. He's also been in the big leagues with Florida. He waits, and the 0-1 delivery from Tapani is hit high and deep into left center field. Back is Buford to his right. Near the track, he's there and has it to end the inning. In the inning for the Dodgers, no runs, 1 hit, 1 error, 1 left. An inning and a half complete here at Wrigley. When we come back, 1957. Tim McCarver as well. Bottom of the second, no score. Tim McCarver joins me.
Hi, partner.
1957. You would have been a 15-year-old from Memphis, and you were just beginning your fascination with a guy named Elvis.
I was indeed.
And there were a lot of away for a ball. See, you're already stepping on me. Been here for 4 seconds.
That's what happened in 1957. And there were a lot of adults that called one another partner back then, too.
1 ball, no strikes, and the next from Matt Hergis to Rondell White is pop foul back and out of play, 1-1. Well, it was highly controversial back in 1957. And in this time, the center field camera, as you're seeing here for the first time on our telecast today, was introduced. Better zoom lenses and a way to look in from center field as that's line foul. Harry Coyle is the director who is credited with this major innovation in baseball coverage on television. And Tim, the controversy of the time surrounded those in baseball worrying that this shot would give people at home a better view of the game than they might get at whatever stadium they may visit, and it would hurt baseball attendance. 1 ball, 2 strikes now on Rondell White, leading it off. Bottom of the second, it's low and away, 2-2.
Baseball players, on the other hand, were very concerned with that center field shot because it was thought that teams could steal the signs from the catchers. Of course, you didn't have a close shot like you do now, where you could see the signs.
On 2-2, it's lined into center. Goodwin to his left. Makes the running catch, and the first 4 Cubs have been retired in order. As we look at the bottom of our screen and we see the different innovations that were with us all in 1957, the audio, you can hear the crack of the bat, whereas earlier you couldn't hear any of that. The shot from center field. This is Damon Buford with 1 out and nobody on. And that breaking ball caught the outside corner for strike 1. It is vitally important that you realize something that we said early on in the day, that we at Fox, the Johnny-come-latelys of baseball coverage, are not doing this to in any way poke fun at those who started back in 1939, or those who were instrumental in television's progress in covering baseball through the years as we play now in 1957, but rather to honor those men and women who came before us. Line drive caught by Gressolonic. He heads off, but even in 1957, Mark, 3 outs per half inning. That's only out number 2, and that'll bring in Willie Green. So names like Red Barber, Mel Allen, Harry Coyle, who we will honor more specifically as this game wears on, and those who put on the headsets or talked into the microphones. Vince Scully, the longtime Dodger announcer. 2 out, nobody on, and a breaking ball's in for a strike. I think of my father, and I know that you think of those that you listened to, sure, and watched during your early years as a young baseball fan down in the South.
And your father was one of them, along with Harry Carey, Joe Garagiola in St. Louis. And Memphis was a huge Cardinal territory, as was the whole southeastern part of the country. And the Cardinals-Cubs rivalry, of course, still exists as one of the great rivalries in any sport.
There's a strike on a check swing to Willie Green, and now he's in the hole, 1-2. Bob Elson around these parts, another name. And then later, names like Al Michaels, Bob Costas, Tony Kubek, a pitch up and in. Mentioned Joe Garagiola, mentioned Vince Scully, and others who really made the game of the week what it was. And I don't think it is now what it was then by any stretch of the imagination. 2-2 pitch. Green checked his swing on a pitch down and in, 3-2.
Hall of Fame broadcaster Jack Brickhouse here with the Chicago Cubs. Lou Boudreau, player-manager for the Cleveland Indians back in the late 40s, and later to become a staple announcer here for the Cubs.
3-2 pitch. Green grounds into Karras. Tricky little hop. He stays with it. And the Cubs have sent 6 to the plate and seen 6 take a U-turn and head back to the dugout. We head to the 3rd inning. We head to 1961. No score after 2 at Wrigley. Well, there's a look at the graphics of the time. We're in 1961. Tim, I'm starting to believe that this was Keith and Steve's idea.
Very effective, I must say.
Good work back in the studio, pre and during the game, as Alex Cora goes after the first pitch and pops it up left side. Rondell White comes in and make the catch. 1 away, and here is a look at the first replay of the game. It's called a program replay. In other words, you'll see, and this is the replay, you'll see what you just saw.
Exactly as it happened.
The audio's a little better. We'll have music going to breaks. Here's a strike over the outside corner to Matt Burgess, who throws right, bats left. Some of the current events at the time. Paul Newman's The Hustler came out in 1961. The late Joseph Heller wrote Catch 22. And as Keith Olbermann talked about, 1961 is something we were all talking about back in 1998 with the home run chase. That drives Burgess off the plate, a ball and 2 strikes in the Dodger pitcher.
One thing we failed to mention, back in 1957, Ernest Hemingway published A Farewell to Arms, and that's also something we're talking about.
Ground ball up the middle, a base hit for Burgess, and for the Dodgers, their second hit of the afternoon. It belongs to Matt Burgess. His first hit. He's 1 out of 9.
Because in baseball in the late 90s, there has been a farewell to arms. See, Fox Replay up in your left-hand part of your screen, the reason that they put that in back there, people were not used to replays on television, so they had to be reminded that this was indeed a replay.
So Burgess is on, and back to the top of the order, Tom Goodwin. He bounced back to the pitcher his first time up. Tapani is off the outside corner with ball 1. You talk about arms. The 60s, well known, especially later in the decade, for maybe one of the greatest pitching decades in the history of this game. And that year in 1968, and you were such a
vital part of with Bob Gibson and that 1.12 ERA. Baseball had to change the height of the mound after that season and try to swing the balance back toward the hitters, which we all know, as Goodwin swings and misses, 1 ball, 1 strike, is without a doubt since that change, and never more so than here in the late 90s and obviously now in the year 2000. The offensive explosion that's taken place. Now people call for a study of the rules and maybe some sort of study to be done to see if the balance can be swung back toward the pitching somewhat. A check swing on a pitch low and away. And the count 2 balls and a strike on Tom Goodwin.
Staggering pitching performances during the 60s. The evolution of the Dominican dandy, Juan Marichal. Started his career with the San Francisco Giants. Sandy Koufax.
Hit to the second baseman, Young. The flip to the shortstop for 1, and out in time as the double play comes up a little short because of the speed of Tom Goodwin. The force out 4-6, and Goodwin is on at first with 2 out. This might be a spot where he does some running.
I was going to say that I think the Cubs are going to see Tom Goodwin. They saw him run to first. Now they're going to have a chance to see him run to second. 43 stolen bases on the year.
Tied with the Cubs, Eric Young for second in the league behind Luis Castillo of Florida. So 1 on, 2 out. And the Cubs now will pay a lot of attention to Tom Goodwin over at first.
Mentioned Sandy Koufax from 1963 through 1966, the year that he retired. 3 Cy Young awards, and in those days, they only gave 1 Cy Young award. It was for the best pitcher in the game. 1967 being the first year where baseball went to a Cy Young award for 2 leagues, 1 for the National, 1 for the American.
No balls, 1 strike, and Gresolonic hits it fair past third down into the left field corner. Goodwin is flying around third. They bring him to the plate. The relay by Gutierrez too late, and the Dodgers take a 1-0 third inning lead.
Replay in the upper left-hand corner, and here it is again. Right inside the bag. And by Green at third, fielded as quickly as possible by Rondell White. He hits the cutoff man, but the throw is late. That's why the Dodgers got Tom Goodwin. That speed, he avoids the double play. Most guys would be doubled up on a ball like that. The inning would be over. But not only does he beat the play, but scores on the double.
So the Dodgers, who have won 5 in a row, take an early third inning lead here at Wrigley, and now have Sean Green at the plate with Gresolonic at second and 2 out, and he rips one into deep right field. Back is Sosa to make the catch on the track. 1961, Alan Shepard, America's first man in space. And the different advancements, we will roll forward to 1969, and we send you back to our local stations. It's a 1-0 Dodger lead as this game gets into the bottom of inning number 3. Ricky Gutierrez will lead it off for the Cubs. He'll be followed by Jeff Reed. And then the number 9 batter, the pitcher, Kevin Tapani. If you only knew what was happening in this booth right now. First pitch, a strike over the outside corner. After this first at bat, I will attempt to end my career in 1 minute. Now I'll attempt to give you a live commercial as Gutierrez flies one into shallow center. Might drop, will drop, it is. Hey, a base hit into center for Ricky Gutierrez. And now a word from one of our sponsors, Wrigleyville Shaving Cream. A shaving cream that glides on ever so soft. A shaving cream that digs down deep into your pores. It pulls the whiskers up and it says, hello there, shave me. Put me into the sink and whisk me away into the nearest lake. Oh, I'm feeling smooth. Wrigleyville Shaving Cream helps to bring you baseball today on Fox. About as good as I can do. Back to the action. Bottom of the third inning. And Gutierrez on at first with the Cubs' first hit of the afternoon.
This booth is a mess.
A mess. Just prior to coming on at the beginning of the inning, I dropped my little shaving cream brush. 1 ball, no strikes, and Reed fouls it back to the left. Jeff is a .218 hitter. 4 home runs, 22 RBIs for Reed in his first full season with Chicago, and only 2 out of his last 21 in the last 6 games.
This booth looks like my bathroom when I checked out of a hotel today.
1 ball, 1 strike on Reed. Runner at first, Gutierrez. 2 balls and a strike.
Like an old barber, you got to clean up your partner every now and then.
Sometimes it's a good thing there aren't more cameras to shoot the booth. The year is 1969, and a major innovation will happen after this at bat. Hit and run, and it worked. Base hit for Reed. It's 2 on with nobody out. Tim, they had the second baseman, Bressolani, moving to his right. By starting the runner, it's a hit for Reed, and now the big innovation, color. Not what you're used to at home yet, but their first attempt at color.
The hit and run, on the other hand, has been around for a long, long time in baseball, and the Dodgers had the wrong guy covering. Had the shortstop been covering, Bressolani throws out Jeff Reed. Mark made a terrific adjustment at second base by coming back and making the play and almost getting Reed at first. As it stands, an infield hit, and look for Kevin Tapani to bunt.
Electronic graphics now, with 2 on and nobody out as the sun tries to pop through here at Wrigley. Showing bunt, pulling back, taking ball 1 low from Matt Hergis. Hergis has been consistent, if nothing else, in his previous 3, in his first 3 Major League starts. He's been a loser every time out, and he's gone exactly 6 innings every time out. Runners on at first and second with nobody out. And Tapani drops down at 1 foul, a ball and a strike. Nice and even with the graphics, straight lines, and certainly nothing that we're used to now, but the electronic graphics with the advancement in color, and we're starting to get more toward the typical coverage that viewers have come to expect now as we have moved into the 21st century. 2 on with nobody out, 1 ball, 1 strike. Tapani, 9 out of 53 at the plate. Just spins but doesn't throw.
Yeah, the sooner a batter squares around, the more inclined he is to use that fake bunt swing play, as Tapani tried to do on the first pitch and is apt to do right now.
The bunt off the plate is foul, and now Tapani's in the hole 1 and 2. So with 2 on and nobody out, the Cubs down by a run. Have the tying and go-ahead runs on base, and they have Tapani at the plate, trying to advance the runners. And his own cause, as he is in search of win number 9 on the year to go with his 10 losses. Runners on at first and second, nobody out. Tapani drops down in beauty. It's a test for Hergis. He's up to the test, and the sacrifice good, 1-3. Now a slow motion replay.
First time that slow-mo has come into being. And a good job by Tapani. Third time the charm for Kevin. Trying to bunt the first two and connecting with the third.
So they got him on, they got him over, and now it's up to Eric Young or Mark Grace to get him in. 1-0, the Dodgers lead here in the third inning. The year of our coverage, 1969. It's ripped down the line, foul. Into the Cub bullpen, strike one. Mario Puzo's The Godfather came out in 1969.
First year divisional play in baseball.
Neil Armstrong walked on the moon, first man to do it.
On cue, the organist just played Fly Me to the Moon. Must be listening.
Second and third, one out, no balls, one strike. Young rips a base hit into left field. One run scores to tie it. Here comes Reed, and the Cubs take a 2-1 third inning lead.
Eric Young only 3 for 27 before this hit. And against his old team, he drives in the first 2 runs of the game for Chicago. The Dodgers have beaten the Cubs 8 straight here at Wrigley Field. And that horrible happening back on May 16th when 19 Dodgers were initially suspended for going into the stands when a fan took the cap of Chad Kruder.
Originally, the suspensions were for a total of 89 games and $77,000. Suspensions reduced to 45 games and $71,000. And as we've mentioned, Gary Sheffield is now serving his 5-game suspension for his involvement in that incident. And we understand there's a chance, even though he could play tomorrow, meaning he's eligible, his 5-game suspension is up after today, that he will not even appear here in Chicago, suffering from the flu earlier in the week. These Dodgers will head to Milwaukee after this series concludes tomorrow. Check on the runner at first, Young, and while we talk so much about Tom Goodwin with his 43 stolen bases, Eric Young with his 43, 17 of his last 17, and he's held on by Eric Harris. Crowd into it, packed house, 1 out, and a pitch out. Young stays put. Tied for second in the National League with his 43 stolen bases. 1969 is a bitter year for the Cubs. A wonderful year for the Miracle Mets. Cubs lost 8 straight in September. Mets won 10 in a row, and the Mets went on to the World Championship. A pitch up and away, 2-0. Talk to Ron Santo, who's to our left, and you bring up 1969, and he just starts to walk away. Doesn't even want to think about it. Runner at first with 1 out. 2 balls, no strikes on Grace. Urges from the stretch. Hard hit into right center field, a base hit. Young will turn and now go. First and third, 1 out on a base hit by Grace.
Very good base running by Eric Young. He had to hold up to see if Grudzielanek was going to catch the ball. You could see him holding up right there. And then scooting into third base rather easily.
Wrigley Field is notorious for its thick grass. And once that ball hit in right center field, it almost checked up. By the time it rolled to Goodwin, Young was on his way to third easily. That's the 4th hit of the inning. A 2-1 Cub lead, and they have a chance for more with their best run producer, Sammy Sosa, at the plate. If you're just joining us, do not adjust your sets at home. Don't go up to it. Whack it on the side like I might. This is the early stages of a color telecast for Major League Baseball. First and third, one out. And a pitch is low for ball one. Sosa, number one in the major leagues with his 43 home runs. And as we mentioned, his first time up, guy who has 379 career home runs since the beginning of July, right at the All-Star break, has been red hot. First and third, one out, and a 1-0.
To give you an idea of how Sosa has carried this Cub ball club, since the All-Star break, Sammy has 20 home runs. The rest of the team has 17.
You start to think about Sosa and what he's doing with this Cub lineup and how he is producing while others are not, especially with the long ball. Here's a 2-0, 3-0.
Yeah, he's doing it nakedly.
Yeah, and you start to think about a guy like Ralph Kiner, who did what he did, amazing home run heroics on some very poor Pittsburgh teams.
369 home runs for Ralph in 10 years. That's close to 37 a year average.
With regard to home run percentage, Kiner is third all time.
Behind Mark McGwire and Babe Ruth.
We don't know those two. We have to look those up. 3 balls, no strikes on Sosa. And you would have to believe that if he sees something he likes, he will rip.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't even give him a chance. And the bases are loaded with one out as Matt Burgess, who grew up in Champaign, Illinois. And his parents, Butch and Barb Burgess, have made the trip here from the home of the University of Illinois to watch their son Matt pitch for the Dodgers. He is starting to fall apart here in the third inning.
Claude Osteen, the pitching coach of the Dodgers, out to talk to Matt. And as you said earlier, Joe, a 30-year-old rookie. He toiled for 7 minor league seasons in the Dodger farm system. 35 of his teammates, when he was toiling down for AA and AAA Albuquerque, AA San Antonio, 35 of his teammates came to the Dodgers during that time. And Matt kept waiting and waiting and waiting and finally got his chance and is in trouble right now. Big league trouble.
You're also talking about a guy who's in big league trouble, who at one point in his career was a replacement player and pitcher. Made that decision. I tell you, while on some levels he regrets it, on others he believes it's the single overriding reason why the Dodgers got a good look at him and why he finally got a chance.
Since you brought that up, that was one thing that was foreign, that term replacement player, back in 1969.
Here the bases are loaded with one out. And Burgess deals with Rondell White and misses high and away. If this were indeed 1969, and if this was August 26th, we would be less than a month away from Willie Mays in his 600th career home run. Bases loaded, one out, a 1-0 pitch. Ball and a strike on Rondell White, who's starting to heat up for the first time in a Cub uniform. Struggled at the start, was frustrated, by his own admission, was trying to do too much. Picked up at the trading deadline, July 31st. He has a chance here with the bases loaded, one out. That's on the outside corner, borderline pitch. Burgess gets it, and the count 1-2. Seven-game hitting streak now for White. Hitting .414 during the streak, 2 homers, 5 RBIs. A 1-2 from Burgess. And caught him on the hand. And they're going to say hit by pitch to force home the 3rd run of the inning. That'll force home Eric Young, and instead of that pitch hitting the bat, it hit White on the hand, according to Charlie Williams. And it's a 3-run 3rd inning for Chicago.
Just like a walk with the bases loaded, a hitter is awarded an RBI. When he's hit by a pitch with the bases loaded, he gets an RBI.
And a bruise.
And a bruise. That's an RBI the hard way right there.
Sometimes a visit from the trainer. Sometimes a trip to the MRI machine. But as it is, White is okay, seemingly. He's at first, joined by Grace and Sosa on the bases, and with them loaded, one out, here is Damon Buford. That's barely caught by Todd Hundley. Start to look at this Dodger team, and you wonder what they would be like if they're 4 and 5 starters, who at the beginning of the season were Carlos Perez, Oral Hershiser, were doing anything. 2 balls, no strikes. Burgess is in that category of a 4 or a 5 starter. And this season, the 4 and 5 men in the rotation for the Dodgers are 7 and 22 with an ERA of 6.62. Dodgers come into this game 6 games over 500, 7 behind the Giants in the NL West. 2 balls and a strike on Buford. The wild card chase, which is getting less and less wild and more civil, is being dominated by the Mets now, especially as they beat up on Randy Johnson last night at Shea. Dodgers, by the way, 9 out in the wild card chase. Buford took it high, 3-1. Arizona 5.5 out now behind the Mets. Three balls and a strike, bases loaded, 1 out, and Buford hits it to third. What a pickup by Beltre. Throw across, double play, inning over. Not only did he take a hit away, but he turned it into an inning-ending 5-3 double play.
Some play. Watch the in-between hop. Speared by Beltre, backhanded, and then he guns him out.
We come back, it's the 4th inning, it's 1974, and we're hovering somewhere above Wrigley Field, chroma key, and I'm standing here with my partner Tim McCarver. For some reasons, the Blazers just didn't seem to fit right in
all of them seemed to have been that length where the long sleeve shirt and the whole cuff showed, didn't it?
It did. You think of a guy like Kurt Gowdy at this time, Tony Kubek, and obviously many others, but this is chroma key. We're standing in front of a green felt curtain that there. That's an odd shot.
Very odd.
That's what it looks like.
That's why we can't wear green.
That's about all I have to say about chroma key.
But your tie is green today.
My tie is green.
Yeah.
Kurt Gowdy could never wear green.
Right.
He would disappear. 2 balls and a strike on the leadoff hitter, Eric Karras. There's a strike. 2 balls, 2 strikes. So just to show what it looks like in real life, this is it, just like a green curtain. And stand in front of it, and they can put you anywhere you want to be.
That's right.
Karras gets into one and hits it down the left field line. It's in the corner and foul. If you could pick anywhere that chroma key could send you, Mr. McCarver, where would you pick? I'm talking about the 2000 Tim McCarver.
Right now?
1974 Tim McCarver.
Any place but behind the plate.
But behind the plate. All right. I'll give you that. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Karras. And like they said during the pregame show, you don't need to understand how electricity works to turn on the light. I really don't quite understand why that would work and why it has to be green. While I switch from a stick mic to a headset, why don't you tell the folks at home why that curtain has to be green?
I cannot tell the folks at home why it has to be green, but Eric Karras ropes one, finally finding the fair part down the left field line. Nice play by Rondell White. So after a couple of hard hit foul balls, Eric straightens it out, as they used to say. back in the mid-70s. Looked like an inside fastball. Nope. Outside part of the plate. Eric finds the range.
There's a good play by Rondell White down the line. And Todd Hundley stands in. Hundley so far today has bounced into a double play. And he takes one inside for ball one. What was your first year in the booth?
1980
With
Harry Callis, Richie Ashburn, Chris Wheeler of the Philadelphia Phillies, Andy Musser. Then I worked with Bob Costas. It was both of our first network games. Boston at California, the Big A in Anaheim.
the popular split screen, which was then reintroduced. And now you can find it at least on any Fox telecast. Whether it's on the network level or the Fox Sports Net level, everybody's big into split screens, which they used back in the 70s. 2 balls and a strike, 1 on, nobody out. That floats away, 3 balls and a strike. I've already mentioned a couple of times that we're doing this to pay tribute to the men and women who came before us at other networks. But I will say this, certainly without trying to be self-serving, the job that our producer Michael Weissman, our director Bill Webb, who is just phenomenal, as Hundley taps it foul, 3-2. Derek Manning with the graphics, everybody who helped go back through time and mark each year and each advancement technologically, and who helped put this on the air today to make it look very similar to the way it used to be covered on television. Gary Lang with that great pregame. The guys, the job they did on the air. Karras going, swing and a miss, and the throw down to second is wide and loose. And Karras gets his 3rd stolen base of the year as Hundley strikes out for the first out here in the 4th.
Eric stealing this perhaps because Todd Hundley had such a mighty swing at his backswing interfered with Jeff Reed and his throw to second base. We'll check it out one more time. Look at the backswing of Todd Hundley. It keeps Reed behind the plate long enough for the errant throw to go into the runner. And Karras has a rare stolen base. He is not a fast runner, as everyone knows.
Runner at second, 1 out, and a strike is on the inside corner to Adrian Beltre, who had the big day yesterday, a 5-hit day in the doubleheader, and is 1 for 1 today. Fred King, who did so much research back in Los Angeles to help go back through time and not only give us all a good indication as to what was going on baseball wise, but sociologically what was going on in the world as we start back in 1939 and roll the clock forward. Gary Hartley and the job that he did with the graphics way outside, and Beltre at the plate with a 1-ball 2-strike count. Mitch Riggin, our technical director, who helped put together that look that made it look like it was 1939. 1 ball 2 strikes and a ground ball to the left side. Tough hop for Willie Green, makes a good play, 2 out.
In 1973, the song Bad Bad Leroy Brown would put Leroy on the south side of Chicago.
That's right.
Where the Chicago White Sox continue to play very, very good ball, beating Seattle last night 4-1.
Runner at third with 2 out. The baddest part of town. Go down there, you better just beware of a man named Leroy Brown.
He's a gambler.
One more name to tell you, actually a couple. Peter Saltons and Joe Carpenter for the work they did with the audio, which actually I think made my voice sound better. Haven could not hold up, and now he's in the hole 0-2. Steve Horn with the job he does here in the booth week in and week out. Dave Hill putting this all together and making it work. Mike Berger back in Los Angeles with the research. No balls, 2 strikes, runner at third, 2 out, 1-2. And now I think I'm in the self-serving category of listing everybody who's ever been employed at Fox.
I'll tell you who was in the self-serving category back in 1973 on March 5th. 2 Yankees, Fritz Peterson and Mike Kekich. they swapped wives, dogs, and children.
We're still in 1974. How long were you with Boston?
Almost a year, a month of 74, 3 months of 75. I joined them in Baltimore on Labor Day, September 1, 1974. The Baltimore Orioles shut out the Red Sox 1-0, 1-0 in a Labor Day doubleheader. Off day on Tuesday, and Jim Palmer shut out the Red Sox 5-0 on Wednesday. I joined the team in first place by 5 games on Labor Day of 74, and I saw them not score a run in 3 games.
No balls, 1 strike on Green and a ground ball to first.
Some help, huh?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Karras takes it himself, beats Willie Green to the bag. We've said the name Harry Coyle already in this broadcast. Guy who for basically 40 years wrote the blueprint, the Bible, as to how to cover baseball on television. Began with the DuMont Network in 1947. He co-directed his first World Series that year. He directed 36 World Series. Also did Rose Bowls, U.S. Open golf, NCAA basketball championships. Some things you might not know about Harry Coyle. If you knew that, B-17 pilot during World War II, flew 35 combat missions over Europe. From Paterson, New Jersey. And he passed away 5 years ago. And so while we all pay tribute to so many who have come before us, we point a lot of this in the direction of Harry Coyle, who should be in baseball's Hall of Fame. 2 balls, no strikes, and that's on the outside corner, 2-1.
It was Harry Coyle who put that cameraman in the scoreboard at Fenway Park in the off chance that something exciting may happen.
Talking about 1975?
75 World Series, Game 6 off Pat Darcy. A home run by Carlton Fisk, captured by Harry Coyle's cameraman.
And the story is that the camera was inside the Green Monster, obviously, and also inside the Green Monster, just to the side of the cameraman, was a rat. And so the cameraman was at least a little worried about the rat and had his attention diverted partially, and therefore kept that shot of Fisk long enough to see him wave that ball, or try to wave that ball fair, keep it fair, and then the excitement in the crowd behind Carlton Fisk at Fenway Park. One of the greatest shots in the history of baseball on television, and a rat had much to do with it.
Lou Gerard, the cameraman, and called beautifully by Dick Stockton. In those days, local broadcasters would broadcast 1 inning of a game during the World Series, and it just so happened that Dick Stockton, that was his inning, and he had the call of Carlton Fisk, that famous home run to win Game 6.
Marty Brennaman was a part of it for Cincinnati, just went into the Hall of Fame this year. And the stories lately, just had a run-in with Ken Griffey Jr. Ken Griffey Jr. upset with criticism that Marty Brennaman had sent his way for not hustling out of the box in a ball that could have been a double. He kept as a single.
When a batter doesn't run hard out of the box, a broadcaster, it's his responsibility to say that.
This game goes to the 5th inning, a 3-1 Cub lead. And we will switch from 1974 color to 1985 color. And the shift, obviously a look that also includes computer generated graphics. Much more cleaner look in 1985 as Alex Cora stands in. 0 for 1 this afternoon. These graphics and these looks, I'm sure, are taking a lot of people back to when they grew up watching baseball on television. 1 ball, 1 strike, and Cora chops it foul outside third. Strike 2.
15 years ago in New York City, a 20-year-old pitcher went 24-4 with a 1.53 ERA, and Doc Gooden took New York City by storm his second year after winning 16 in '84.
When he first came onto the scene and he had that season, what did you think you were seeing? One of the best ever?
I thought so. Youngest pitcher to ever win the Cy Young Award.
2 balls, 2 strikes, and Cora fouls it away.
I mean, he won 40 games before he was 21.
So we're talking about the difference with the computer generated graphics. We're talking about a difference in color, and we're talking about a pitcher who's still pitching.
Yeah.
Even with all the off-field trouble, and Dwight Gooden, who is a long reliever now for the New York Yankees. Alex Cora trying to get on to start this 5th inning for the Dodgers. It's a 3 ball, 2 strike count.
Yankees trying to fend off the Boston Red Sox. The Yankees losing last night, along with the Red Sox and the Toronto Blue Jays. Yankees 3 games ahead of the Red Sox in the American League East and 5.5 ahead of Toronto.
By the way, we would typically have a blimp coverage by now, but weather has kept it out of the area. We understand it's on its way. 3 balls, 2 strikes. And that's down the line and foul off the bat of Alex Cora. Meanwhile, Seattle has a 1.5-game lead over the Oakland A's in the AL West. That's an RF camera, radio frequency camera, and it can go anywhere, and that was introduced at this time. Middle part of the 80s, and you can walk around and take people, at least at home, sitting in their living rooms to places they hadn't been before. That's Cora with a good battle and a line drive and a left, caught by Rondell White. 1 away here in the 5th inning.
It's a huge adjustment when you go from playing left field at the Big O in Montreal to playing left field at Wrigley Field. Every fly ball is an adventure, as Rondell White shows. Rondell with a fine play staying with that ball.
Multiple angle replays now for your viewing pleasure as Hergis, who already has a hit today, fouls it away. This is not only an education for people we're bringing this game to, it's an education for me.
Me too. Yeah.
No balls, 1 strike, 1 out, nobody on, and strike 2 on Hergis. Matt singled up the middle his first time up. 1 of 4 Dodger hits on the day. 1 and 2. And misses the corner. 2 and 2. For the first time, we give you the shot from the low home camera. 8 cameras in all that are at our disposal. As Hergis gets a pretty good rip, it's still 2 and 2. In case you're wondering how the 8 cameras would compare to, let's say, a World Series telecast this year. During a World Series, Bill Webb, our director, will have the capabilities of 22, 24 cameras, somewhere in that neighborhood, as Hergis swings and misses strike 2. So over 20 cameras for a World Series now, compared to 8 that would bring you the game of the week back in the mid-80s. And now with 2 out, nobody on, back to the top of the order, and Tom Goodwin, who has scored a run today, but he's 0 for 2 at the plate. When he gets right back down to it, gets down to the bottom line, it's still covering a baseball game. And whether it's a play-by-play announcer on television doing less play-by-play, more radio, that's going to be a test and a hit. Or it's cameras covering the action, whatever technology was available. The bottom line is it's still, for the most part, the same game that's taking place between those white lines.
Certainly the same game for a guy like Mark Grace. Excellent fielder, but because he had to play in to protect against Goodwin in the bunt, ball just squirts off the webbing. Expect Tom Goodwin, who did not run his first time on base, will be off here with 2 out.
Gresolonic now, who has a hit, an RBI doubled his last time up to score. Goodwin all the way from first. There he goes. Reach throw is good, and good by Goodwin. For the 10th time this season, Tom Goodwin is caught trying to steal. And the top of the 5th inning is history. Dodgers and Cubs, August 26th, 1985. It still is 85. And for the viewers, their last look for the day at baseball coverage from the 80s. Our next half inning will be 1996, which is, I guess, virtually what we do in the year 2000. So 1985. What network were you with? What blazer were you wearing?
I was wearing an ABC blazer.
And then went to.
And you were in high school. You were junior in high school.
This was my first year of driving.
Your driver's license. That's exciting.
In April of 1985.
That's great.
So you went from where? You went from there?
I went, yep, ABC. I did my first World Series with Al Michaels and Jim Palmer that year. Howard Cosell was fired for coming out with that book about quite a few ABC employees. And as we know, and everybody in this business knows and should know, that's not a good idea if you want to stay in this business.
Yes.
Yes.
But he kind of did things like that. He did things to the beat of his own drummer. And
he did.
I guess in essence, then you were replacing the legendary Howard Cosell.
I guess so, because had I not been there, Howard would have been the man.
Here's Kevin Tapani, who's pitching well. He grounds the first pitch to second, picked up by Gresolonic, 1 away.
Also, Joe, in baseball that year, Whitey Herzog of the St. Louis Cardinals trying to once again fend off the New York Mets. They eventually did that. Bobby Cox was managing the Toronto Blue Jays. Dick Hauser was the manager of the Kansas City Royals. The Royals came from 3 games to 1 behind to win the American League Championship Series. And they did that to win the World Series also against the St. Louis Cardinals. The Cardinals winning against the Los Angeles Dodgers. Ozzie Smith hits the home run after 3,143 at-bats without a home run. The graphic went up on the screen, and the next pitch, boom, home run.
It was a year that Tom Niedenfuhr would like to forget. You know, I obviously grew up in St. Louis, and a lot of people still talk about the Don Denkinger call at first base, the George Orta safe.
Game 6 of the series.
Yep, Todd Worrell had his foot on the bag. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out, nobody on. And a chop to the right side. Kara spins and makes the play. 2 away. There is one silver lining to it. I know my father says this all the time, that call did allow Dick Hauser and the Royals a chance to win the World Championship. And as many know, Dick Hauser passed away shortly thereafter.
You know, I never thought about that until you just said that.
Here's Mark Grace with 2 out, nobody on.
Cardinals, meanwhile, under Whitey Herzog, went on to play and lose to Minnesota 2 years later, back in '87. Great World Series that was.
Grace with 2 out takes a strike.
And the reason I say that particular year, the general manager of the Minnesota Twins that year was Andy MacPhail. And Andy MacPhail is now the general manager of the Chicago Cubs.
Taking over for Ed Lynch, who stepped down earlier this season. It was during the time that the Sosa watch was on, and everybody was wondering just how long it would be before Sosa was putting on a Yankee uniform. It didn't happen. Sosa has just gone off since then, and he is obviously relaxed and resigned to the fact, and you would have to say happy about the fact that he'll end up here in Chicago with the way he's been hitting the ball and the way that he's been playing.
Ed Lynch told me about 2 weeks ago, after his resignation was accepted by the Cubs, that he tried to turn in the resignation earlier in the year. The Cubs broke from spring training. Ed thought that they had a better than 500 ball club, and when they got out of the chute poorly in mid-May, he tried to hand in his resignation. It was not accepted, but 2 months later it was. There's Andy McPhail.
Grace pops it into shallow center for Goodwin. If this is 1985, Pete Rose in a couple of weeks would break Ty Cobb's record of 4,191 hits. Top of the 6th inning, a 3-1 Chicago lead. Kevin Tapani trying to protect that. And we are now in 1996. The Fox box looks a little different than you would have seen it the last couple of years. Graphics look a little different. You going to telestrate something for the people?
Yeah, I telestrated the Fox box.
Oh, I missed
there
that.
You go. Not only do we have a telestrator, but we have a new telestrator.
You can't put
no squares.
You cannot do that.
Baseballs.
Into right center field. That's a hit for Gresselanek. He's 2 out of 3, and that's a good start to the inning for the Dodgers. Buford holds Gresselanek to a single. With the heart of the order coming up.
Also now with super slow-mo, as Gresselanek, boy, I know a lot of hitters wish hitting were that easy, that the ball slowed down to where you had a good look at it. One thing Kevin Tapani has done today, he's kept the ball in the ballpark. He has yielded 33 home runs this year. That is 5 away from the National League lead, that ignominious lead held by Jose Lima of the Houston Astros. He's given up 38 round trippers on the year.
Kevin Tapani will tell you, though, along some lines is not the worst thing in the world, because it means that he's giving innings and he's out there at least to give up the home runs.
That's true.
2-0.
Let's take a look at another innovation here at Fox. A hot zone on Sean Green.
Looks like the Rubik's Cube that Lyons had in his hands when we introduced the 1985 season. 2 balls, no strikes. What a rip by Green. 2-1. So the Brooklyn Dodgers involved in the first major league game televised back in 1939, and the Los Angeles Dodgers taking on the Chicago Cubs. Not a whole lot's changed around here. 3-1 Cubs in the 6th inning. 1 on, nobody out. Tying run at the plate for the Dodgers, and it's 3-1.
Historically, the Los Angeles Dodgers, the last time they played in the World Series, 1988. But it's been 55 years since the Cubs have played in the October Classic. 1945, the year the war ended, they played Detroit and lost.
Hit and run. The runner was going, and Gresselanek locates the ball and goes first to third. And that's what it is, first and third here in the 6th inning with nobody out for Los Angeles.
Mark Gresselanek went for the decoy employed by Jackie Gutierrez at second base. This ball scalded to right field, right down the pipe. And an idea of what a hitter is thinking when he gets that 3-1 fastball. Watch Gutierrez. See, he didn't look, and now he's forced to look at the second baseman, or shortstop, I should say. Mark picks it up in time to scoot to third.
So now first and third with nobody out for Eric Karras. Karras 1 for 2. He reached on an error his first time, singled, and yes, he stole a base his next time up. Strike 1. Where does Eric Karras fall on the all-time Dodger home run list? How about number 4? And he's only 1 home run short of tying Roy Campanella. 241 for Eric Karras. 0-2. You could go through different eras, different decades. We came on the air talking about 1939. At that point, the Cubs talked about 1944. 1939, the Cubs were coming off a a pennant year, and they had won 3 pennants during the 30s. And the one in 1945, and that's it. First and third, nobody out, 1 and 2.
Cubs winning the National League pennant in 1932, 1935, and the famous homer in the gloaming. It was the first time that I was introduced to that word, gloaming, which is dusk, not quite now in the Midwest.
And as we mentioned at the time, the Dodgers' ascendancy after naming Leo DeRocher the player manager. There were a lot of player managers at the time because of the economic situation with the Depression. So that wasn't so abnormal. In fact, as we talked about, Gabby Hartnett was the player manager for the Cubs. And after that homer in the gloaming the year before, the Cubs clinched just 5 days later. First and third with nobody out, a ball and 2 strikes on Eric Karros. Tapani has Karros set up. 2 and 2. Would it be fair to say that the 50s along some lines could be centered around that great center field battle in New York with Willie, Mickey, and the Duke?
Richie Ashburn with Philadelphia.
The 2-2 is 10th foul, third base side. To have all 3 in New York in center field. There were 4 years where those 3 were the regular center fielders, all playing at the same time, and during that time, there's a check on the runner at first. Snyder, Duke Snyder, led the other 2 in home runs. But historically, you see more written about it, and you hear people talk more about the other 2. Willie and Mickey. Runner at first goes, and that's off the end of the bat. Still 2 and 2.
The reason I bring up Richie Ashburn's name is that Whitey was inducted into the Hall of Fame. Whitey Ashburn, his nickname, of course, about 2 years before he died, and he led all other players in hits during the 50s. So you hear about Willie, Mickey, and the Duke, but sometimes you overlook a guy like Ashburn, who was a great ball player.
2 balls, 2 strikes. 3 and 2. And the stories that I hear about Ashburn, about his ability to foul off one pitch after another, and he'd drive pitchers crazy. Definitely an art, and Ashburn had that perfected. By the way, talk about Snyder. He has the Dodger franchise record of 43 home runs in a season. Sheffield, who's serving his 5-game suspension, has 40. Runner at first goes. Strike 3. Throw down to second. Now Young throws behind the runner. Gressolonic at third. They don't get the out there, and it's second and third, 1 out.
Sean Green made a good play. This drives Don Baylor crazy. Don, like all good managers, have a penchant to do the little things right. You can see Green stopping. He's retreating to first. But with a guy like Eric Young, with his speed, you got to go right after Sean Green. If the Cubs are ahead by 1, that might have been the right play. But when you're ahead by 2, you got to take the sure out.
So instead of 2 out and a runner at third, it's second and third, 1 out, and Todd Hundley has a chance with a hit to tie the game. 3-1 Chicago in the 6th. Fourth strikeout for Tapani as he got Karros looking. And Hundley comes up empty, strike 1. Todd 0 for 2. He's grounded into a double play and struck out.
It looked to me, just with the naked eye, when Reed made the throw, Karros took the pitch and then dropped the bat down. Of course, it was a call strike. But it looked to me like he could have interfered with Jeff Reed on the throw to second base. Reed did not argue, nor did Don Baylor. Don Baylor thinking they should have gotten 2, but this is a call strike right here. Now you can see right there that there is reason to believe that Karros could have interfered with the throw by Reed, but Jeff didn't argue, so home plate umpire Charlie Williams is not going to give it to him. One more time, Karros is upset by the call, but right there he is stepping in the lane where Jeff Reed is throwing the ball. To me, that's interference.
And even with that, Reed made a perfect throw.
Right.
And they would have had Green at second had Young not come in front of the bag, taken the throw, and then fired over to third. Too late to get Gresselanek. Now a 2-2 count on Hundley. Hundley has driven in 56. Has 20 home runs in his last 57 games as he waits for a 2-2 from Kevin Tapani.
That's the one thing. If I were catching behind a guy like Todd Hundley and you get 2 strikes on him, Jeff Reed, of course, calling for that high fastball out of the strike zone, but I would not throw Todd a strike in this situation. You have first base open. You saw him go after that high fastball right around about neck high. I think Tapani will try to get him out with balls instead of strikes.
2 balls, 2 strikes. 91-mile-an-hour fastball, and Hundley couldn't get around on it. Still 2-2. Hundley trying to tie this game with a well-placed hit. Pops it up by the dugout, and Reed, as the wind plays with it, is out of room. You can just see by a guy's route to the ball how the wind affects the pop-up here at Wrigley in the way it used to be at Candlestick. Reed was headed down the first baseline in foul territory and then had to circle back around and came back to the near side of the on deck circle when it was out of play.
The TV has changed a lot over the years, but the wind here at Wrigley still something to talk about. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
2 balls, 2 strikes, second and third, 1 out. Now full count. And I think still along the lines that you just went down, I don't think it's a given here that Hundley gets something to hit. In fact, go with him.
Nope.
Go with a pitch out of the strike zone and hope for the strikeout. Tapani has struck out 4. Struck him out. Up and in, 2 gone. Back-to-back strikeouts by Tapani here in the 6th inning.
Fastball is out of the strike zone. So in order to have good control, it's very important to remember, often you're better off throwing a ball instead of a strike. That's what control is.
So Hundley's gone, and now Beltre. They may not intentionally pass him, but if they give him anything to hit, they're crazy. They're going to walk him anyway. Intentional pass to load him up for Bruce Avon.
Good call, partner. And I'll tell you one thing. It's very rare when you see a manager have the courage to pitch to Hundley, the left-handed hitter, and then walk the right-handed 20-year-old Adrian Beltre. Baylor knew that Todd has a penchant for going out of the strike zone, particularly with runners on base. And Adrian Beltre has been just red hot. Baylor does not want to see Beltre hit in this situation.
Believe it or not, a guy in Tapani who has thrown over 180 innings this season just issued his first intentional walk of the season.
Wow. How about that?
And the bases are loaded for Avon. Avon has fly to center and struck out. A 3-1 Cub lead, and Tapani somewhere in the back of his mind is thinking about 6 blown saves that have happened behind him when he's left a game with a lead only to have the bullpen give it up. He's in the 6th inning and he misses
with ball 1 to Avon. Avon 0 for 2 is the Dodger. Greg Olson getting ready for Los Angeles in their bullpen. Not close. 2-0. We talked earlier about Kevin Tapani, and he detests walks more than anyone. Obviously, in this place, this specific spot, no place to put him, but Avon ought to get something to hammer, and he misses again. 3-0. Avon with a count of 3-0. 3-1 Cubs here in the 6th inning. 3-1.
Bases loaded for Avon, and it was Avon who had a grand slam home run against the Dodgers last year with the Florida Marlins.
Here it comes on 3-1. That's ball 4 to make it a 1-run game. So the intentional pass to Beltre, the unintentional walk to Avon, that brings home Grzelcyk and makes it 3-2 here in the 6th. And the batter will be Alex Cora. Cora 0 for 2, but he has really battled Tapani in his 2 at-bats, especially his last time up, when he eventually lined into left, caught by Rondell White. He has a chance to put the Dodgers back out in front. A strike from Tapani.
I think baseball fans and even some people in baseball often have a tendency to blame the decision maker instead of the executioner. The decision was right to walk Beltre. The execution by Tapani wasn't.
Cora lines one into center. That's a base hit. 1 run scores to tie it. Here comes another to the plate. Safe there. So's Beltre at the plate, and the Dodgers lead by 1.
And speaking of execution, Kevin Tapani's probably thinking about Sean Green and attempting to steal second base. He was hung out to dry, and Eric Young's decision to go to third too late to get Grzelcyk is the key play in this inning. As a result, the Dodgers have 3 runs in, and they may not be through.
Dave Hansen is going to come off the bench and bat for the Dodgers. First base open, 2 out, and Hansen comes up empty. Hansen, one of the game's best pinch hitters. Tom Goodwin, who started the day hitting .266 on deck, maybe a little leery of an intentional walk to load the bases again, but Hansen's dangerous. That's a fly ball to center. Buford back on the run to make the catch and end the inning. Hansen gave it a ride, but Damon Buford went back and took an extra base hit away. And as it is, a 3-run 6th inning for the Dodgers. They're back on top, bottom of the 6th inning. 4-3 LA. Bottom of the 6th inning, and a big mistake made by the Cubs defensively in the top half.
Yeah, all of the runs scored, all 3 runs were earned, but because of this play by Eric Young, allowing Sean Green to escape unscathed, and Kevin Tapani questionable, the walk to Avon, and then the single by Cora. The Dodgers scored 3 runs. They're not unearned runs, but in my view, there should be a formula where they're not all charged to Tapani.
You're not supposed to think that way. You're an ex-catcher, used to working with ex-pitchers who all gear their entire broadcast along those lines.
That is true.
Everything's an error. Nothing is a hit to those guys.
Right.
It's about 25 minutes past the hour of 2 o'clock Central Time. This is 3:25 in the East, and for the New York audience, At the top of the hour, we will be switching you to the Yankees and A's. David Cone getting pounded again last night. I'll say again, he had at least turned in a couple of good starts between shellackings, but he is back on the downside. Catcher cam now. We are in the present, maybe even the future. 1 ball, 1 strike. For 4-3, the Dodgers lead now, and Greg Olson is the new pitcher for Los Angeles. 1 ball, 1 strike. 2-1.
So in 61 years, baseball and the televising of baseball has gone from one overhead camera to a camera behind the plate worn by the catcher on his mask. That's pretty cool.
And again, that's from an ex-catcher. 2 balls and a strike. 3-1 on Sosa. Olson on the mound, the second pitcher of the day for the Dodgers. In line for his first major league win as a starter is Matt Hergis, who's finished after 5 innings, settled down, allowed 3 runs on 4 hits, a walk, and a strikeout. The numbers for Olson this season, who's been on the disabled list for much of it. That's ripped down the line, fair into the corner. Should be a double for Sosa. Haven gets it back in, and a good start to the 6th inning for the Cubs.
From catcher cam, up and in on the 3-1 fastball to Sosa. Sammy's a tough enough hitter, but when he knows what's coming and gets it, lethal.
Guys are showing off now down there in the truck. You notice that?
Yeah, yeah.
Tying run at second with nobody out. Rondell White, Damon Buford, and Willie Green will take their hacks and try to tie this game with a hit. Put the Cubs on top with the long ball. The Cubs as a group have hit only 155 home runs. And as a team come in hitting 259, which is 14th in the National League. And in case you used to watch baseball in 1939, there are 16 teams in the National League now. So that's not good. The 0-1 from Olson.
That was a number of teams in all of baseball in 1939. 16, 8 in each league.
One ball, 1 strike. Runner at second. The tying run. Nobody out. White is 0 for 1. Checked his swing, and he's up on the count. 2 balls and a strike.
When Rondell White was a member of the Montreal Expos, he was a favorite of the manager Felipe Alou. Felipe nicknamed him Thunder Hands. He lays off of this breaking ball. Feather hands there, laying off that nasty, wicked breaking ball.
Here's a 2-1 from Olson. The opposite way, a base hit. Here comes Sosa. The throw by Green. Too late. Tie game.
I am not a proponent of catchers wearing their masks. However, you could see that peek toward third base to look at the runner. But the one reason that I don't think wearing the mask when you're trying to make the tag at home is your peripheral vision is cut down. Hundley blocks the plate, or wanted to, but Sosa comes through that lane left open by Todd because he had to go down and block the ball.
You can see, as we showed you the catcher cam shot, that he never turned and saw Sosa because he was playing the short hop.
Right.
And there's a ball low to Damon Buford.
One thing a catcher will do on a throw from right field, you pick the runner up when he rounds the bag at third. So therefore, you're concentrating on fielding the ball and making the catch. You don't know where he is. By taking the mask off, you have a better presence and a better feel for the runner. But there are an awful lot of catchers who don't agree with that. It used to be you would never. There's the base hit to right field. Now watch Sosa. There's the look right there. Back to right. And Todd dropped the ball. Even had he come up with it, though, Sosa's sliding to the outside, and he still scores.
Goes with the headstand at the end of the play. 2 balls, no strikes. And that's foul. It's trying to get out of play, and it will. Would you have been amenable to some upstart network to put a camera on your mask?
I would have, yeah. I mean, not that really, even though we're appreciative of Todd and all the catchers who have agreed to wear that, but to me, it's not really an encumbrance for a catcher. I would not have worn a mask and trying to make a tag at home plate. That never used to happen, ever. But now, 85–90% of the catchers do it.
There's another question for you. When you caught, did you have to look into the dugout before every pitch like these major league catchers do now?
Never.
Talk about a change in the game with managers over there calling for everything.
They call for step-offs. They call for throws to first base. Davey Johnson, however, is one guy who does not employ that.
Buford out in front, 2 balls, 2 strikes.
I know Davey's been criticized some for that he doesn't have enough presence on the field once the game begins. Davey is of a mind that these guys are major league players, and when you really think about what Davey Johnson, his philosophy about managing, these guys should know how to play, and he's right.
Well, there he is looking into the dugout.
I'm not saying he never does it, but he doesn't do it on a regular basis. You're trying to get me there, aren't you?
Hey, he looked into the dugout. That's all I'm saying.
He's looking into the. Actually, he's looking down at the third base coach. That's what you do. Now look into the dugout again.
Davey's changed.
Davey's changed.
Different style of managing now that the Dodgers are 7 games out. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Got it. Olson blew a fastball by him, and the first out here in the 6th inning.
Good fastball from Greg Olson, the guy who does not normally strike out that much. Damon Buford. Olson's throwing hard, but the Cubs have touched him for 1 run here in the 6th inning.
Willie Green now, who's 0 for 2. He's bounced to Karras twice. Karras is over there holding against the runner White, who has 5 steals. He's had all sorts of knee and hamstring trouble over the years. One of the reasons why the Yankees didn't bust down the door trying to get him.
You see, Todd is not looking at Davey Johnson. Davey Johnson realizes Todd Hundley is a professional catcher. He knows what to do. He's not looking over there. He's looking at the first base coach, third base coach. Davey Johnson does not run the club from the dugout. Obviously, he runs the club, but not the movement on the field.
Well, maybe Jim Tracy's doing it over there, or Claude Osteen is doing it over there. Or maybe Todd's looking at an old high school friend in the seats here in Chicago, right over the Dodger dugout.
Yeah.
Runner at first, 1 out, 1 ball, 1 strike.
You know what?
What?
It is Tracy. I'm looking down in the Dodger dugout right now, and it is Jim Tracy. So, okay. All right. I'll admit I was wrong about the Dodger team not giving step off, throw to first to Todd Hundley, but Davey Johnson's not doing it.
Okay.
Okay.
There's Tracy in the top box, and there he's going through the signs over there. 2 balls and a strike. White on the run as Green swings and misses, and they get Rondell White. Quick tag by Cora. And Hundley, whose throwing is getting better, just got a runner who got a terrific jump.
Yeah, it takes time for a shoulder to heal. This is an excellent throw. A lot on it. But the tag by Cora, you're right, Joe. The tag made that play. Right on the rear end. And Rondell White is caught stealing. And catcher cam is spinning out of control.
And Rondell White is hurt.
You just hate to see those head-first slides. A lot of organizations now are teaching no head-first slides in their minor league system, but there's so many ways to get hurt when you're sliding in like that. It's not worth it.
Like the left hand, maybe the left thumb got caught on the bag, but one thing that's been true since 1939, don't guess about an injury. Grzelcyk, what a play down in the bullpen. Mark Grzelcyk ends the at-bat for Willie Green and the 6th inning. But in the inning, leadoff double by Sosa, RBI hit by White, and after 6, we're tied at 4.
Gary Matthews Jr., obviously the son of Gary Matthews Sr., who is now a broadcaster for the Toronto Blue Jays, is in there in left field for Rondell White. And Tim Worrell is the new Cub pitcher. Kevin Tapani went 6 innings, giving up 8 hits and 4 runs. They were all earned, but as we said, he deserved a better fate after that botched steal by Sean Green. Eric Young going to third base, and Grzelcyk diving back to third. That set the stage for the Dodgers scoring 3 in the top of the 6th inning as Tom Goodwin leads it off against Tim Worrell here in the 7th inning.
So neither starter will be involved in the decision. Worrell, who has been with a number of organizations, has been a nice addition to this Cub bullpen. He's the 2nd pitcher of the day for Chicago. And Goodwin comes up empty.
Joe, I would assume this is not official, but we assume that a double switch was employed, that Gary Matthews Jr. will hit in the 9-hole in Tapani's spot.
To his left, Gutierrez.
And that Worrell will hit in the number 4 spot, vacated by Rondell White, who left the game because of an injury. There's Gary.
Matthews in the game, turned 26 yesterday. He takes over for Rondell White, bats 9th, and the pitcher is hitting in the number 4 spot. Goodwin is now 1 out of 4 on the day, and the batter is Grzelcyk, who's had a nice afternoon. An RBI double, a single, a run scored, and he lines one right at Eric Young. 2 out. Times have definitely changed. A strike over the inside corner. Sean Green is 1 out of 3 with 23 home runs on the year, now 88 RBIs. Two out, bases empty, a ball and a strike on Green. On the corner, good pitch, strike 2.
Times have changed, Joe, but even the late 30s, the end of the Depression, as the United States was to enter the war in 1941. But in the late 30s, Elliot Ness was chasing around Chicago.
Yes.
Al Capone's gangs were rampant up in Cicero and Chicago proper.
Here's our RF camera now up on the roof. Looking down at the at-bat and a 2-2 count. Pitch fouled away. And it was then that the groundwork was laid for one of the most embarrassing moments in television history, and Geraldo Rivera with the Al Capone vault. And here we have rubble and rubble. Still 2-2 on Sean Green.
Some find that was, huh?
Here's an old nail. Two balls, two strikes on Green. Harris on deck and Worrell trying to keep it a tie game and let everybody here at Wrigley enjoy a nice 7th inning stretch. 3-2. Whoever operates that manually operated scoreboard out in the outfield is phenomenal. They are the quickest trigger in baseball. They seem to know the pitch before it happens. They have a 3-2 count up there, and that's ball 4, a 2-out walk. So a base runner here in the 7th inning for the Dodgers. Eric Karras now with 2 out. There's the guy on the scoreboard.
Eating peanuts right now, right?
Something. Velements, maybe. 1 on, 2 out. Check on the runner Green.
Sean Green ran about 95 feet to steal his last base. He ran 52 feet forward, then 5 feet back, and then 13 feet to second base.
And he was short by 20 feet.
And Eric Young went to third base to try to get Grudzielanek diving back. Unsuccessful, and as we said, that set it up for the Dodgers to score 3 in that inning. But I would suspect that Green will try to run here. Here it is one more time. Karros has struck out, and there is Green. Of course, I estimated that about 82 feet, then back 5, and then.
I'll give it to you.
All right.
You would have been safe years ago. There wouldn't have been a replay of it.
Right.
1 ball, no strikes. 1 on, 2 out. Karras grounds to third. Green the short way, and the inning is over. We are tied through 6.5 here at Wrigley. All right, let me hear you.
Let me hear it.
Fox Sports, home of the 2000 World Series, back after this. Well hit into deep left center field. Back is Goodwin at the wall. Sweet home Chicago home run. Gutierrez goes deep, and it's 5-4. Cubs in the 7th.
When Willie Mays was playing, he perfected the basket catch. The basket here around the wall at Wrigley Field, right above the ivy, was inserted in the late 60s, early 70s, about that time. And that was the reason that Gutierrez has a home run. Fastball inside. Watch this basket catch. Cubs take the lead again.
And a ball sinks low and away to Reed. The reaction of Greg Olson, who has just given up the home run.
That's a Wrigley Field pitcher's look right there. Incredulous.
Ernie Banks, Mr. Cub, used to hit a few into those baskets.
Ernie had the perfect stroke for this ballpark. 368 into the slots. Actually, it's longer down the lines. There's Mr. Cub, number 14. Those low line drive home runs into left center field. That was his slot.
Here's a 1-1 to Reed on the outside corner. Back to the home run. Banks' 500th home run wasn't all that different. It did, I believe, make the first or second row of the bleachers in left center field. But Not much more than that. A ball and 2 strikes on Reed with nobody on or out, a run home. Jeff 1 out of 2 on the afternoon with Gary Matthews Jr. to follow. Boy, when Greg Olson first came to the big leagues with Baltimore, he had an over-the-top hammer of a curveball that was just nasty in the 9th inning. He was lights out.
He was so good, and that curveball was so good and so wicked, Joe, that you thought there is no way for him to pitch for any length of time without coming down with arm problems. You can't throw a pitch that devastating without it being a real problem for the elbow and/or shoulder.
2 balls, 2 strikes. As the Cubs are back on top. It's really been a good game outside of all the other stuff that we've tried to do here today. It's been a fun game to cover. The 2-2 is in the dirt. Nobody backing up Olson in that Dodger bullpen, which got some work here yesterday in both ends of the doubleheader, including Jeff Shaw saving both games. The Dodger 5-game winning streak is in jeopardy here on a Saturday afternoon. Three balls, 2 strikes. Jeff Reed trying to get something going after the home run. Missed the outside corner and the walk. First walk handed out by Olson. Here's home run number 500 for Ernie Banks, May 12th, 1970, with Atlanta here. First row of the bleachers. Pat Jarvis served it up, and Ernie Banks caught the front row of the bleachers. Banks became a Hall of Famer in 1977, played for the Cubs from 53 to 71. For those of you getting the Yankees Oakland game, we will be taking you there in about 4 minutes. Hundley was pointing the way for Olson to throw. He had the play, throws wild, and it's first and third, nobody out.
Why was Todd holding his mask that long? You immediately get rid of the mask. And that ball hit Gary Matthews on the right heel, I believe, but it appeared that Matthews was outside the line. It was close, but it appeared to me with the naked eye. We'll see one more time, but watch Hundley. Now watch Todd get the mask and hold the mask and hold it and hold it. It looked like he thought the ball might bounce toward Olson. And by holding the mask, oh no, he was inside the line. The Dodgers have a pretty good argument right there. Jeff Reed goes to third on the throwing error, but it looked like Gary Matthews was inside the line when it made contact. A belated throw by Hundley off balance. You cannot be inside that line when the ball makes contact. He should have been called out.
Instead, it's a base hit, error 2 on Hundley. Todd was directing traffic and telling Olson where to throw, but that had so much backspin on it. Jump back to Hundley, and he couldn't make the play. First and third, nobody out, and the Dodgers in deep trouble here in the 7th.
Throw right here, and the Dodgers are not arguing this call, and it's very surprising. You got to argue this call. Clearly, Matthews was inside the line when the ball made contact.
You've never seen a look of surprise and elation as you would have seen on the faces of these umpires, knowing that for the first 5 innings we wouldn't be doing replays.
Not only that, Joe, but Gary Matthews stepped over the bag. Had the Dodgers recovered in time and tagged Gary, they would have tagged him out. I didn't see it the first time around, but watch Gary Matthews. The ball makes contact, and he steps over the bag. So all the Dodgers would have to do is pick it up and go tag Gary out. But confusion on the part of the Dodgers defense there.
First and third, nobody out. 0-1 on Young, trying to add to the Dodger lead. The Cub lead, rather, and it's up and in for ball one. 1-1. Young was with the Dodgers last year. They ended up trading him here to Chicago along with Ismael Valdez. And a few weeks ago, the Dodgers reacquired Valdez from these Cubs. He's been pretty good since putting that Dodger uniform back on. That's low. And it's 2-1 on Young. Antonio Osuna, a right-hander, getting ready for the Dodgers in their bullpen as Olson is struggling here in the 7th. We understand that Rondell White, the word on White, it was the left arm, dislocated left shoulder when he went in hand first to the second base bag last inning. 3-1 on Young. Felix Heredia, a left-hander, getting ready for Chicago. Runner at first goes, and he'll have to come back. Gutierrez, by the way, who homered to start this inning, his first year with the Cubs, is blowing away his previous season high in the home run department, which had been 5. Now he's got 10, and he has 49 RBIs, which is also a career high.
You know, with the runner running in this situation, even though there's none out, Grudzielanek properly has dropped back. He's not playing all the way in. And the reason he's doing that, the second baseman of the Dodgers, there he is right there, but you can see the reason he is doing that. I thought that was on freehand draw then, huh? That's that trick play that rarely works, but has worked for a number of pitchers this year. But the reason, once again, that Mark is doing that, it gives him a better angle to cover second base in case Young were to strike out. So they've gone from all the way in to halfway.
Going again on 3-2, and Young lines it into left field. Avon makes the catch, a sac fly. Back to first is Matthews, and the Cubs are up by 2. RBI number 40 for Eric Young. And it's 6-4 Chicago here in the 7th inning.
This inning properly has Davy Johnson scratching his head.
Here's Grace with 1 on 1 out. We now send the New York audience to the beginning of the Yankee game at Oakland on Channel 5 WNYW. Bye-bye. And for the rest of us, it's time for a pitching change. Olson hands off. Osuna coming in. Cubs have scored twice, and they lead here in the 7th, 6-4. Well, we were showing you 1996, and that happened in the 6th. And here in the 7th, the homer by Gutierrez. A walk to Reed, who was scored thanks to a hit and an error on a ball hit by Gary Matthews Jr. and a sac fly by Eric Young. Now it's Grace against Osuna, and it's 2-0. Mark Grace is approaching some milestones. Today has a hit in 3 at-bats. Goes up after that one and pops it into shallow left for Avon. 2 out. Talk about Mark Grace and where he is in this all-time Cub list. I think the jury is still out as to whether he finishes his career as a Cub. He wants to play another couple of years. He signed only through this year. He's kind of been working on a year-by-year basis. He had said publicly, as Sosa digs in, that he might end up, or he'd like to end up out in San Diego where he grew up. But they just signed Ryan Klesko to a contract extension, so that kind of scraps that plan. Here's Sosa, 1 on, 2 out. Facing Osuna, taking strike 1.
I know one team that Mark will not be with next year, and that's the Colorado Rockies, not with Todd Helton as their first baseman.
Well, Grace is in the category of rest of the team, while Sosa has been doing that. 20 home runs since the All-Star break. The rest of the entire club only 18. Sosa 0-2.
Joe, the reason I bring up Todd Helton wears number 17 in honor of Mark Grace. There was even some, I was kidding Mark before the game in the Cubs clubhouse, and I said, you think Helton will shave his head like you did? He said, not with that stroke of his, not the way he's been hitting.
We understand that Todd Helton has 2 hits today. He's hitting .393 now, his updated average. And as you watched Mark Grace wrap his gum around that substance, ugh. I'll tell you that Grace is 10 RBIs short of 1,000 in his career, 2 homers short of 150 in his career. 1 on, 2 out, and a throw to first to check on Matthews. Remember, the pitcher is due to bat after Sosa. Because of that, Brant Brown is in the on deck circle, but Sosa's set up at 1 and 2. And he strikes out. Good work by Osuna. Came on to get Grace and Sosa. Now the sun is out, and the game is in the 8th inning. Hundley, Beltre, and Avon will bat, or at least they are the scheduled hitters for the Dodgers, down by 2, facing Tim Worrell. Hundley's 0 for 3, and he's had a rough day at the plate. Bounced into a double play in the second, struck out after a hit and on the steal by Karras in the 4th. Struck out with second and third, 1 out in the 6th. 1-1. Tim Worrell is the younger brother of Todd Worrell. Starred with the Cardinals and the Dodgers. Here's a 1-1. Strike 2. Somewhere in the back of his mind, Todd Hundley is thinking about trying to avoid his 3rd consecutive strikeout. Worrell pitched around a 2-out walk last inning. Reed wants it down, and Hundley fouls it off to the right. Dodgers lost the first game of a 4-game set to Montreal this past week, then won the next 3, so they won that series. So far 2-0 on an 8-game trip, with 3 coming in Milwaukee after tomorrow's game here in Chicago. They are on the edge, if that, in the race in the NL West. A 1-2 to Hundley. Do it again.
The breakout game for the Dodgers this week was that 16-run attack against Montreal on Tuesday night. A game in which they had 16 hits, 6 home runs. A lot of offensive players got happy in that game, and they've allowed that momentum to carry them through yesterday, but trail here.
2-2 now on Hundley. Red hot Adrian Beltre waits to hit next. Beltre's been on base twice today, had 5 hits in the doubleheader yesterday. Right now it's Hundley, and it's a full count.
Talked about how Hundley was a bad ball swinger with 2 strikes on him. Rarely will hitters swing at bad balls that are outside. Usually bad balls, to get a bad ball hitter to swing, you have to pitch him something in tight.
Hundley gets under it, flies it into right center field. Buford coming on. One out. Hundley is 0 for 4. Here is Beltre, and there's another pop-up shallow center. Out goes Young. In comes Buford. They let Eric have it. Young puts it away. 2 out. And the bases are empty for Bruce Avon. In-game box score looks like this. That's brought to you by Coors. Resolanik, a 2-hit day with an RBI. Green has a hit, and he scored a run. Alex Cora with a 2-out, 2-run single back in the 6th inning, which put the Dodgers on top by 1, but the Cubs tied it in the 6th. Took the lead in the 7th, and with 2 out, nobody on, strike 1 on Avon. First day as a Dodger, and he is 0 for 2 with a walk and a run batted in. Tim Worrell is giving 2 strong innings here to Don Baylor and the Cubs. Worrell started this spring with Baltimore. Cut him loose. Now he's a Cub, and he's 1-2 on Avon. Two and 2. The Cubs, who were initially hot right after the All-Star break, have absolutely fallen apart. They've lost 9 of their last 10. They've had 15-5 breakout game Wednesday in Houston. Trying to get one here today. Avon flies one into right. Sosa coming to get it. Inning over. Good work by Tim Worrell. 2 scoreless innings in the setup role. We go to the bottom of the 8th inning. A pinch hitter will start it for Chicago. Turns into a beautiful day. 6-4 Cubbies. Talked about that RF camera. Now it can go anywhere. It's across the street at the fire station. And old engine number 78 is ready, willing, and able in case it's needed.
Right on Waveland Avenue. That is beyond the left field wall here at Wrigley Field. And they're beyond the right field wall. Some interesting signage. You see the Torco sign there. And then the numbers right here. They say AC 11 55 92. And we're going to explain those numbers. AC is year of 11 years since winning a division. 55 years since winning a pennant. 92 years since winning a World Series.
Boy, I've learned a lot today.
Long time. Not only that, do you speak Latin? Right to the left of that of those numbers.
Torco?
Is
that Latin?
2 signs down from the Torco sign. We'll show it to you after this pitch. Amos Catulli.
1 ball, 1 strike, and Brown out in front.
There it is. It's Latin for let's go Cubs. It is.
A ball and 2 strikes.
Friendly confines. No other park has a pseudonym of friendly confines, right?
Well, some people have liked to steal it over the years.
Yeah, they'd like to, but nothing applies to friendly confines like Wrigley Field.
Here is the in-game box score for the Cubs, brought to you by Coors. Young with 3 RBIs today. Gutierrez with a go-ahead home run in the 7th inning. Otherwise, they've been pretty much shut down today. Those brothers drilled that Latin into you, didn't they?
They did. The Christian brothers, yes.
Into center field for out number 2.
You know what? I found out earlier this week, a Murray Chas column. There's Harry Carey, who drilled the fun of the game into so many Cub fans, so many White Sox fans, so many Cardinal fans. Hey, 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 that's Jack Brickhouse. But there is a young lady, 17 years old. She'll be attending the University of Chicago this fall, and her name is Elizabeth Wrigley Field.
And she's never been here.
She's never been to Wrigley Field, no.
Strike on the outside corner from Osuna.
If you're going to go to the University of Chicago, trip to Wrigley Field is right around the corner.
Green, strike 2.
Rather unusual last name.
It is.
It is.
Packed house here at Wrigley on a Saturday afternoon.
Wrigley Field.
Wrigley Field.
Yeah.
What's her first name?
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth. One and 2. Throws a party around the holidays. Are you at the Wrigley Field party? It's a packed house. Wrigley Fields.
Open house.
Green strikes out with Aguilera getting ready for the Cubs out in their bullpen, and this game gets into the 9th inning. Dodgers coming to bat. They'll have to take on Aguilera. They're down 2. Well, Rick Aguilera takes over for the Cubs. One of the best at doing this, although he's been doing this for a long time. He'll take on Alex Cora to start the inning, then a pinch hitter, then Tom Goodwin, and he's protecting a 2-run lead. Eight for 8 in his last save opportunities. Member of the 300 save club. Joined that elite group on June 2nd. 2-0 win over Detroit. 13th big leaguer to reach that 300 save plateau or higher.
Started off as a starter for the New York Mets back in the mid-'80s. Changed into a reliever by Tom Kelly and Dick Such, the pitching coach under Tom at the Minnesota Twins. Flourished there as a reliever and is doing the same here with Chicago.
Cora first up, and a strike on the outside corner. Cora today 1 out of 3. He's lined out, and he's picked up a 2-out 2-run single. He did that back in the 6th inning, which gave the Dodgers a short-lived lead. Right back at Aguilera off his pitching hand, and a base hit. Hopefully Aguilera is all right.
A little scooting. No, that's a line drive. I thought the ball hit the plate before it hit his hand. It looked like it hit the heel of the hand. Now the trainer coming out to look at it. Obviously that's better than one of the fingers, one would think.
1 on, nobody out. Ball that hit the outside corner, strike 1. I'll say this, I've had a chance to see his routine and his rehabbing back in St. Louis. He is working so hard to try to come back at least 4 hours a day dedicated to his right knee. If anybody's going to come back from it, it's going to be him. So for the Cardinals' sake, and I think for baseball's sake in the postseason, if they get there, and Leyritz gets into it with Charlie Williams briefly, be good for the Cardinals if he came back.
I'll tell you, Joe, if I'm an umpire and a batter did that to me, I'd run him right now. Umpires do not like to be shown up, and Leyritz dropping his bat and looking back at Charlie Williams. I mean, to me, that's grounds to see you later.
0-2 from Aguilera. One and two.
Here it is once again. Jim thought that pitch was inside. It appeared to have had a corner. Now watch Leyritz. He just drops the bat. There are ways to argue, and there are other ways to show an umpire up, and he showed him up then.
A ball and 2 strikes on Leyritz. Tying run at the plate, and that's down the right field line. A long run for Sosa. Might not get there, but it's foul. Just fading into the seats, and it's still 1-2.
Leyritz loves the ball out over the plate. Arguably the biggest hit in the last 2 decades, the 3-run home run. Leyritz off Mark Wohlers.
in the 1996 World Series to tie a game won by the Yankees. Woller's back in the big leagues. What a great story that is.
Back with Cincinnati. He's had a little injury trouble here lately, but when he's been healthy and on the mound, he's pitched very well. Laird's waiting for another 1-2 delivery from Aguilera. A little more inside. It's 2-2. If Laird's had time to apologize for what he did after strike two, he would have done it when that pitch was caught by Jeff Reed. Sorry. Oscar Acosta is the pitching coach for the Cubs. That's down and in, 3-2. Aguilera is not in the category of the kind of closer now that can just rear back and blow it by you. So if he, as he moves the ball around, misses, falls behind in the count, or is in a spot like he is here where he has to throw a strike, he is beatable. In the air to left, Matthews Jr. with the glasses on, 1 out. I guarantee you Laird's to tell you that was one he should have driven out of here.
Yep. Heredia is getting loose to face Sean Green. Should the Cubs face Green, Goodwin the leadoff batter, and then Grzelcyk the right-handed batter. So Aguilera will pitch to both Goodwin and Grzelcyk, one might think, and then the left-hander in to pitch to Green. But you're right, Laird's would like to have that pitch back.
So Goodwin now, who's 1 out of 4 with a single, reached on a force out in the third and scored on an RBI double with 2 out by Grzelcyk, waits. Not a big home run threat here. A strike hits the outside corner.
You know, though, Joe, something to think about. If you're Alex Cora on at first base, you're trailing by 2 runs. You wouldn't even think about going to third base on a base hit up the middle, right center field. You'd stop at second. But with Goodwin as the batter, you want to think about going to third so you can clear second base for the tying run potentially. This is a very unusual situation with the Dodgers trailing by 2 right here.
0-2 on Goodwin. Goodwin hoping that Cora has to think about something like that, but he's set up at 0-2. Aguilera with help in the bullpen if he needs it. Gave up a leadoff hit to Cora. He's 2 out of 4 today. Got Laird's on a fly ball to left, and now the 0-2. Blown past Goodwin, 2 out. And the Dodgers are down to their final out.
High fastball. Out letter high. Gets Goodwin. First strikeout for Aguilera.
Tim Worrell would get the win if Aguilera can get 1 more out before the Dodgers come up with a couple. Tying run at the plate, that should do it. Gutierrez flips and the Cubs win it.